Are you a female athlete who struggles to eat enough? Are you dragging through your training sessions and know your poor nutrition is to blame? Do you want to build some beautiful muscle and boost your confidence at the same time? In today's episode, I'm going to explain exactly how I did just that, and you can too. Undereating as a female athlete can take a huge toll on your body, so let's stop depriving and start thriving. Grab a pen and paper and let's go. I'm really excited about today's episode. I feel like undereating in the female athlete community is something that is at epidemic proportions right now. I think there is so much misinformation out there about nutrition. And I also think that there's so many diets and clean eating, ketogenic diet, low carb diet, carnivore diet, all these different diets that don't apply to female athletes, but yet we are the ones that are most health conscious, and we are the ones that are looking at this thinking, oh my gosh, this is what I should be doing. And this is exactly where I was many years ago. And it's a horrible place to be. I remember two specific times. One was when I was struggling with an eating disorder. I wanted to look like the cover of a female fitness model. And I wanted to look like the fitness model that was on the cover of a fitness magazine. And I used to look at these magazines all the time and think, wow, what do I need to do to look like this? Let me just go to the nutrition section and figure out what they're doing. And surely if I eat like that, I will look like them too. I was sorely mistaken, unfortunately. It did not work out like that for me. Another time that I can think of was when I was actually training for a figure competition. This was many years later once I got past my eating disorder, and I thought, I can do this figure competition, no problem. I'm going to prove to myself that I can do it without struggling through disordered eating. And I did, but it was a horrible time in my life because I went from eating almost 3,000 calories a day when I was in the bulking phase to then scaling back to almost 1,200 calories a day when I was in the cutting phase, which was a crazy shift. I was still training almost 2 hours a day, and I felt like crap. I felt so bad. I remember going to the squat rack and literally crying at the squat rack because I was so tired and I was so hungry, but I just felt like I can't eat right now because I'm in the cutting phase. I can only eat what is on my diet plan. And you know what wound up happening? I actually developed red S. I was not able to sleep at night, felt like my gains just went down the drain. I was losing muscle. I actually wasn't losing as much fat as I would have liked because I wasn't fueling my body properly. I was actually just burning off muscle mass and not as much of the fat mass, which was my goal. Like I said, my performance just went down the drain, and I kept repeating myself to my husband. He one day asked me, are you going to be like this forever? Because we just kept having the same conversation over and over again. It was like we were getting nowhere because I couldn't think straight. So I feel like this is so common, unfortunately, and this is something that is not really spoken about as much as it should be. And a lot of us just kind of crack it up to like, I'm forgetful or whatever. I just had a bad night's sleep, or I'm just having a bad day, and that's why my performance isn't that great. That's really not the truth. A lot of this goes back to underfueling and overtraining. So let's talk about how we can get you out of this cycle of undereating. Number one is to understand sports nutrition and how all the different nutrients are needed in your body in order to make them work. So what I mean by that is knowing what are carbohydrates, what do they actually do in your body, where do you get them from? Same thing with proteins and same thing with fats. A lot of people, especially females, put this undeserved emphasis on carbohydrates and fats, thinking that they are bad for them, that they don't need them. And that's because of all the misinformation that's out there right now with all these diets, with carnivore and keto. I'll just throw paleo in there. There's so many things that are out there that just kind of get things jumbled up in our brain. When I really started to dig into the research and really started to learn why you need these things in your body and what they actually do beyond just, carbohydrates gives you energy, but more so understanding like what happens on a cellular level, what happens to your hormone system when you actually eat these things. Like, for example, did you know that fat helps to produce hormones in your body? That actually helps you to menstruate. And menstruation is really important for things to happen in your body as a female athlete that keeps you healthy. For example, if you're not menstruating, you are actually more likely to lose bone mass and you're more likely to get an injury as a result. These are things that are really, really important as a female athlete to know and to understand, oh, I actually need these things, that they're not actually bad. If you're not sure about some of these things, I'm going to drop some podcast links below for you to listen to. But really, the best thing that you can do is to learn how to fuel your body for yourself. And the way that you can do this is to actually set up a consultation with me. This is a time where we can figure out what your activity level is, approximately what you're burning, how much carbohydrates, protein, fat that you need based off of that to help you reach your goals. And it'll really help you to understand what that actually looks like in a day, what the timing of all that looks like, so that you reach your goals a lot faster rather than just spinning your wheels. I will drop a link below for you to set up a consultation with me, but that is the best way that you can learn, is actually just by doing it. You learn from a professional that is going to set it up for you. You have a plan in place, and then you do it. You go through the motions and you learn that way. And then you'll start to see what works for your body and what doesn't work for your body. Number 2 is to set boundaries for yourself. So what I mean by that is, when I was struggling with this, I really had an issue with looking at those fitness magazines. And so what I wound up doing after I realized that this was an issue was I just stopped looking at those fitness magazines. I stopped buying them. I stopped subscribing to them. And I know fitness magazines aren't really a thing anymore, but it might be Instagram, or it might be TikTok, or it might be Facebook, or whatever the case is for you. I want you to kind of do a self-evaluation and figure out what triggers you. Is it looking at people on social media? Is it looking at your teammates? Or is it looking at your friends and comparing yourself? Whatever it is, I want you to just do a self-assessment and figure out what that is. And I want you to work your way to stopping those things. And part of that is talking to a trusted friend or family member that can be your accountability partner. So if you have a good friend, maybe it's your mom, and maybe it's your best friend, a teammate, whatever, I want you to reach out to them and say, hey, look, I've got a problem and I really need you to help me through this right now. It is a extremely lonely road if you try to do this by yourself, and it is much, much harder. Take it from me. It took me 10 years to work through my disordered eating, years of underfueling and overtraining. But once I started talking to people and actually opening up about it, it was like the floodgates opened, and it just made it so much easier. So number 2 is to set boundaries for yourself, see what your triggers are, and to talk to somebody about it. Last but not least is to set realistic goals for yourself. So what I mean by that is to figure out exactly what you want to accomplish. Is it that you want to be faster in running? Is it that you want to lift more weight and you want to build some muscle? Is it that you want to get your rowing time down? Whatever the case is, I want you to figure it out exactly what your goal is that you want to accomplish. And then from there, you're going to start to create SMART goals for yourself. I have a podcast episode on this, and I'm going to link it below for you. But SMART goals it's just an acronym for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So what that means is you're going to figure out, okay, I want to build some muscle. I want to build 5 pounds of muscle, and I want to do that in 6 months. So that is specific, it's measurable, it is achievable, and it's also time bound, because we're saying in 6 months, I'm going to gain 5 pounds of muscle. That is an outcome goal. But then what we're going to do is we're further going to break it down into a behavioral goal. So what is it going to take to get you there? How do you get to building 5 pounds of muscle in 6 months? Well, you're going to have to eat more, and you're going to have to make sure that you are eating enough protein. You're also going to make sure that you are eating enough carbohydrates. So if you don't know how much to eat, that's when you're going to contact me and set up a consultation so we can figure out exactly how much you need to be eating to get that goal to happen for you. But if you already know, great, then you're just going to put that plan in place, and then you're going to figure out what foods fit into that. Now, if you don't want to figure out the exact grams, you can also use the plate method of a half of a plate of carbohydrates, a handful of protein, that type of thing. But if you're not sure the exact amount, like I said, contact me. I'll drop the link below to set up a consultation with me. You need to have those goals written down. If you don't have the goals written down, you might as well just forget that it's even a goal. You need to figure out the goal, write it down, and put it somewhere that you can see. And this is going to help to keep you on track, because the days that you feel like, oh my gosh, I've just eaten too much, I can't simply eat anymore, I'm just going to gain weight. what you can do is you look back at your goals and know, okay, well, this is what I need to be doing in order to reach this goal. And this is what my goal is. And I promise you, it'll keep you a lot more on track. And it'll really help to get that little red devil off your shoulder that keeps telling you, oh, you're eating too much. You're going to gain weight. Don't do it. So like I said, if you don't know what to eat, how much to eat, you have no idea how to put this all together, reach out to me. I'll drop the link below for you to set up a consultation for yourself. And the best way to do it is to learn by doing.